Hello, my friends. And today we are starting with tragic news. While all attention has been focused on the flanks of the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians have already made their way almost to the center of Pokrovsk. Yesterday, the Ukrainian forces reported that more and more Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups were breaking into the city. By the evening, a video was published as proof. Our soldiers were driving down the street when someone started shooting at their vehicle with an automatic weapon. One of the soldiers began to scream. Most likely, he was hit right away. Friends, what conclusions can we draw from this? There are no defensive lines with Ukrainian forces positioned around the city to monitor and control the outskirts. That's how the Russians were able to enter and are now trying to establish a foothold in the area. Here is what some analysts are saying. A few days ago, the Russians took advantage of the situation where one brigade had completely run out of infantry combined with poor reporting of the situation on the ground. As a result, they managed to infiltrate the city of Pokrovsk itself. Ukrainian troops had to urgently correct the situation before it turned into a catastrophe. Right now, search and destroy operations are still ongoing. Some Russian fighters have been killed, some haven't. The Russian goal is clear: to hold the position, wait for reinforcements, and take control of the street. Unfortunately, we've suffered losses as well. There has also been an increase in friendly fire because although everyone was informed about the SRHs quickly, most didn't know their routes or where exactly they were located. That's why any news about such breakthroughs must be handled calmly and carefully. As we can see, this direction is now the most important and most intense along the entire front line, and yet this is where reserves have run out. But friends, if Russians can push almost to the center of the city, then that's a disaster. We can basically say that as of today, Russian troops are inside Pokrovsk. At the same time, Russian assaults continue today on the village of Volodymyrivka. They are breaking through near Novopavlivka, assaulting Novoekonomichne, the outskirts of Myrnohrad, and as you already understand, attacking the outskirts of Pokrovsk. They're also storming Lysivka and Udachne. The situation is so bad that unless the war stops within the next few weeks or months, we'll most likely lose Pokrovsk, Myrnohrad, and Rodynske. And the war doesn't seem to be slowing down because Zelensky has announced that a new negotiation group is being prepared, but even that doesn't include any talk of ending the war.
Rustem Umerov proposed to the Russian side to hold another meeting between representatives in Turkey. The agenda is clear on our side: the return of prisoners, the return of children abducted by Russia, and preparations for a meeting between the leaders.
Returning prisoners and children is understandable, but a meeting between the leaders, that's 100% not going to happen. Russia has long made its position clear, so this new round of negotiations is not going to lead to a ceasefire or even a 30-day truce, though, of course, we can still hope. But today, the war continues, and unfortunately, the situation on the front line keeps gradually getting worse. Zelensky also announced that the meeting is set for Wednesday, which means tomorrow. However, for some reason, the Russians are saying it will happen on the 24th.
Today I spoke with Rustem Umerov about preparations for a prisoner exchange and another meeting in Turkey with the Russian side. Umerov reported that the meeting is planned for Wednesday. More details will follow tomorrow. Glory to Ukraine.
The head of Ukraine's foreign ministry also officially stated that what's really needed is a direct meeting between Zelensky and Putin.
We are ready. Ukraine is not an obstacle to peace, never has been, and never will be. We insist on a ceasefire, and it's very important that any possible meetings, if a date can be agreed on, are meaningful. The other side must have a mandate to discuss the key issues, ending the war and achieving a truce. So far, we don't see that. That's why one of the proposals was to hold a strategic-level meeting between Zelensky and Putin. Ideally, with the participation of President Trump, European leaders, and President Erdogan. We believe that such a meeting would definitely affect the further dynamics of the peace process.
Friends, let me know your opinion in the comments. Do you believe a Zelensky-Putin meeting will happen after the third round of talks? Let's discuss it below. And now let's return to the front. In the Novopavlivka direction, the Russians are advancing toward the city and are also carrying out offensive operations near Горіхове, Oleksiivka, and Dachne. In addition, they are actively storming Filia and Voskresenka. The situation is extremely difficult, but so far there have been no new territorial gains by the Russians over the past 24 hours. In the Velyka Novosilka direction, Russian forces are attacking Malivka and Temerivka and pushing through in Zelenopole. However, as of now, there have been no new breakthroughs in the last 24 hours, and all attacks are being successfully repelled. In the Huliaipole direction, Russian forces continue to assault Malynivka, but as before, there are no changes in this area. The Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks, although Russian sources claim the village is under their control. This hasn't been confirmed. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, unfortunately, the General Staff has confirmed that Russian forces have effectively taken full control of the village of Kamianske. The advance in this area amounts to 2.2 kilometers. Shelling continues here, but no new assaults have been recorded for now. Russian forces appear to be gathering reserves in preparation for future offensives. Sadly, we have lost yet another village. In the Kherson direction, Russian forces continue the attacks near the Antonivsky bridge and are also shelling the right bank of the Dnipro River. However, there have been no changes over the past 24 hours, and Ukrainian forces continue to repel all Russian assaults. And now let's move to the Kostiantynivka direction. Here, the Russians continue to assault Protechine and Bila Hora. Fighting is also ongoing around Deliyivka, Sherbinivka, Katerinivka, Rusin Yar, and Poltavka. This situation is difficult, but for now, Ukrainian forces are successfully holding the line and the front remains unchanged. In the Siversk direction, Russian forces are not decreasing the activity. Assaults continue on Serebryanka and they're trying to break through in the areas of Grigorivka, Verkhnyo-Kamianske, Vyimka, and Fedorivka. In addition to the ongoing assaults, there is an extremely high level of shelling. It's clear that their goal is to advance toward Siversk in the near future. However, for now, the Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks, and there have been no changes over the past 24 hours. In the Lyman direction, Russian forces have made new gains. Unfortunately, they managed to expand their control beyond Karpiivka, advancing across the fields. Their push toward Korovi Yar amounted to 4 kilometers and 1 kilometer in the direction of Malivka. As a result, the front line is noticeably widening here. If the Russians manage to advance toward Lozove and reach the natural water barrier, the situation could drastically worsen as it would cut the front in two. For Borova, the situation would become especially dangerous if the Russians take fire control over all the crossings. They could very quickly seize this entire section of the front up to the river. As of now, in the Borova area, Russian forces are assaulting Zeleny High, but haven't achieved any success. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces are assaulting Rodynske and Kupiansk. It's clear they are trying to apply maximum pressure from the north, and they are already pushing into the outskirts of the city. So far, the situation is worsening, although overall activity remains low, just a few assaults per day, and the Ukrainian forces are managing to repel them. In the Dvorichne direction, the Russians are attacking Kutkivka and attempting to break through across the fields beyond Krasnopershe. However, at this point, all attacks are being successfully repelled and the front line remains unchanged. In the Velyka Burluk area, the situation remains stable for now. Although Russian sources claim to have achieved some success, however, there is no confirmation of this at the moment, so we are waiting for updated information in this direction. In the Kharkiv direction, Russian forces are not launching new attacks, and the situation has temporarily stabilized. In Vovchansk, however, fighting continues and the Russians keep assaulting the village of Staritsa. But over the past 24 hours, the front line hasn't changed and the Ukrainian forces are repelling all attacks. In the Sumy direction, Russian forces are assaulting Kindrativka, Varachine, and Yunakivka, and are also attempting to break through the border. However, they haven't achieved any success, including near the village of Tetkina, and the Russians are trying to shift the situation in their favor and push into Ukrainian territory, but the Ukrainian forces are repelling all attacks, and the front line remains unchanged for now. Meanwhile, new weekly assessments of Russian advances have been released. According to foreign analysts, Russian forces have captured an additional 112 square kilometers of territory over the past week. And if we include the gray zone, the figure rises to nearly 146 square kilometers. That's a significant amount, and unfortunately, this trend continues week after week. The loss of territory is happening at a rapid pace. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.